What's going on, everybody? So just a 3-week update here on Leela, my juvenile Caimen Lizard. I've been working with her pretty intensely, as you can see here. Juvenile, getting her acclimated and just spending a lot of time trying to tame her down, and it's worked out quite well. As you can see here, I mean, I try not to do this while feeding, but it's I have to get her used to being able to grab onto my arm and kind of hold on there. So getting her first used to it this way, and a lot of times it's just being around and in the enclosure. There's times where I'll stick my arm in there for a couple hours and just try to work with her and get her familiar and just really exist. And it's building these little strands of trust with her that have really gone a long way, as you'll see here. I do have her still feeding on a pretty heavy snail diet. She has taken some tilapia without issue. I also got her to eat some banana, so she's kind of picky. She doesn't want to touch any kind of market shrimp or anything like that. She is pretty much can of snails. I do have live snails that I do feed her, as more of a treat, and tilapia. Here she's chowing down on some can of snails and just kind of keeping up. She's migrated from sleeping in the water in the 75-gallon aquarium that's underneath her enclosure, and she's now been kind of chilled out on the rocks, which is nice. I also got a reptile humidifier that I hooked up. I was having issues controlling the humidity in the enclosure. It was going from extremes. I'd spray it down in the morning and it would be dry. By 2 o'clock you're at a 40% humidity, and ideally I want to keep it around the anywhere between 65 to 80% is the target range. And with this humidifier, I've been playing around with it, and I got it down, letting it go 5 minutes every hour, and that seems to keep it pretty consistent as far as humidity goes. Temperature, I'm dealing with, it's winter here, so we do deal with some pretty dramatic temperature swings. It's gotten to 13 degrees outside. House is insulated decently, not ideal, but I do try to avoid the temperature swings and keep it warm in here at night. I do have a ceramic heat emitter that I do utilize to ensure that it doesn't get too cold, and also the aquarium is heated constantly at 84 degrees with the inhabitants I got beneath. So she's been pretty great. I have no complaints. There are times where I've had to do stuff, either move stuff around the crate or move her. That kind of destroyed that trust balance, but for the last week or so, it's been really good. Her feeding response has been phenomenal. A little over aggressive at times. I make sure she is eating every day currently. I do plan on feeding her like I feed my fish. I'll go daily, and then once a week I'll skip out and kind of go through a day fast to make sure everything's regulated. Bowel movements with her are fine. She has been going in the water a lot more, which is nice because there is a cleaning crew down there to deal with that. And regular water changes. I do about a 50% water change once a week on the aquarium that she's beneath her, which is an active, I wouldn't call it bioactive, but there is an ecosystem going on underneath. And then obviously if she does relieve herself on the upper deck of the enclosure, then it's dealt with daily. It does stink, though, I will tell you that. I was not expecting the stench from the Caimen Lizard feces, but as long as you're on top of it, it's not an issue. She is eating canned snails pretty vigorously. I've had to tone down and kind of limit. I don't want to overfeed her, though it's really hard to overfeed any kind of juvenile reptile. I don't want to go too much and have her get sick. So weekly dustings of vitamins, like every 3 feedings, I'll either dust some calcium or some Reptivite on there, and she seems to take it without issue. Making sure it's not too compact onto the snail meat, which is or the tilapia, is ideal, because you can hear, I mean, it's not a lot of saliva in the lizard mouth. So yeah, that's it so far. So enjoy the rest of this footage. I do handle her some significantly here. It's a process. It's making sure that she's comfortable in her environment, and then introducing me to that, and making her understand that I'm not going to hurt her. You know, there are times, especially with deworming her and things of that, where it is on the sketchier side, but overall, she's been great. She's also very photogenic. She loves the camera, and it's been cool to get some of this footage. You don't really see a lot of decent footage of Caimen lizards. Everybody does have their enclosure. They want to talk about, you know, all the other stuff, but I find this to be the most enjoyable. The relationship building with the Caimen lizard, and being able to kind of keep her and warm her up. And you know, I haven't had a reptile in almost a decade, so getting her, you know, back in, you know, I do a lot of aquarium stuff. I do have some crazy hybrid fish and some stingrays and things of that nature that I'll showcase on the channel. But you know, it's a whole nother level when you get a semi-aquatic reptile and have to deal with this, all the you know, UVB requirements, the diet requirements, the is this gonna work? You know, it's been a learning curve so far, and it's been good. You know, I have no complaints. And then this was a major breakthrough here. You know, working hours to get her acclimated to me, to where now the last couple days I've been able to summon her pretty regularly. I do find that she does scratching noises, whether it be on the plywood enclosure or myself. She does get attracted to that. I did learn that while scraping some feces off of the slate tile that the majority of the hardscape does rest on. She came over and she was going after the razor blade. So I kind of used that trick to my advantage to kind of get her attention and get her involved. And you know, obviously bringing out the feeding tongs brings out one kind of feeding response, but the scraping seems to get her curiosity going. And you know, I've been able to handle her pretty freely, a lot more than I was expecting. Not as many puffs, but making sure she is comfortable. You know, we're getting those long tongue flicks, showing that she's in her thinking or curiosity mode. She's not getting defensive. She's not huffing, which is great, because when I first got her, you couldn't go near her without her huffing and opening up that mouth and hissing at you like a crocodile. But you know, she's gotten to the point where I've been able to handle her pretty regularly. So it's ongoing, and we'll continue to capture this and put it out there for everybody. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe, and if you think I'm doing something wrong or got any suggestions, feel free to drop it in the comments, and have a good one.